This is Stephanie Díaz de León.
This is Rob Chappell.
This is Omar Waheed.
And this is Nicholas Garten.
And it's 365 Amplified. I love that we still don't have this down.
Well, he's in a different spot.
And so
and that doesn't work.
It ruined
Nicholas
the
is in
flow.
a different chair than usual, so that threw the whole thing off.
I like there's a rhythm to it, too, that you have in your head. And like,
I'm just
and
a
then it went, I don't know.
It threw me off.
We got to stay in rhythm.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
It's why somebody of color starts it and someone of color ends it, and Rob has in the middle.
Well, but he's sitting in a different spot.
I know, but I'm saying we still got the rhythm. But I'm saying like it's the reason why like someone of color starts it, someone of color ends it, and Rob stays in the middle, because then we can make up for it. We'll get it back. We'll get it back. Don't worry, Rob. We'll keep you on the beat.
Uh-huh.
Rob is sick, so if you hear him be nasally or cough dryly,
I'll hit the mute button before
I hope so, but sometimes you're not going to be able to.
Right.
Like, we understand that's, you know. And to be fair, I gave it to you, and I feel like that is reparations for the harm that you continually do with your lack of rhythm. And some of your song choices in the car.
Like
I understand. Something about a squirrel. There's, I don't know, some band that's named for a squirrel.
The Squirrel Nut Zippers?
Yeah.
What?
See? The Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
fantastic.
alone.
Swing band from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Swing band.
This does not sound good.
That's why I gave him my cold.
To each their own, but that
Yeah.
doesn't free you from judgment.
There was a really good Decoder Ring podcast recently about why were we all doing swing dancing in 1998?
I don't know. Why were you all doing swing dancing at that time? Because some of us were not. Some of us were like, what y'all doing? Why are you hearkening to a time that is very specifically, you know, a moment for only some of you?
Only some.
Imagine dancing to swing bands in the 90s when Life After Death dropped around the same time.
You're right. Some of us were there, and some of us were just, you know, current and to the times. It was a commercial. Wasn't it like a commercial that got everybody back into it?
It turns out the commercial, the Gap ad that
Yeah, I thought that came after.
that was kind of the culmination of it.
Yeah, I thought that came after, but that's the one that everybody claims
It was
started
Suit
for them.
Riot, and it was like these sort of ska adjacent bands.
So you're blaming ska?
Got it started. Yeah, a little bit.
You said the Gap band.
The Gap ad.
Oh,
The
I think you said
Khakis.
the Gap band. It was like the 70s and 60s R&B group.
No. There's a Gap ad, and Khakis Swing was the.
Khaki swing.
Yeah.
I
It was absurd, but they used the Louis Prima original version of Jump, Drive, and Wail in that ad, and then Brian Setzer Orchestra, the white guy, capitalized on that and dropped his cover of it, and then became super famous for a minute.
Yeah, it was a minute.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know
How
where
did
we
we get
got.
on
I
that?
don't because I was
because you were
begging
criticizing my musical choices because at the same time that this was all happening, Squirrel Nut Zippers were they didn't even mean to be part of the swing thing. They had been doing it for a while, and they became popular. And they were like, "Why are we so popular suddenly?" And it's because of swing. And those couple albums around that time, Hot, Bedlam Ballroom.
You can't use that word.
As the album, no, the album was called Hot.
I know, but like,
I wasn't saying they were hot.
I'm just saying in general. It's not a word that comes from you elegantly, or it seems to be part of your natural vernacular.
Right.
So,
It's a good
I'm
band. Check them out.
I think it's just, you know, there's a lot of it. It's a whole album of it. Like one song once in a while, but a whole album of it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry.
I'm going to listen to the Squirrel Nut Zippers, and if I love it, I'm going to be so mad.
You're gonna be so mad about it. It's good for like a song.
Maybe I'll put some Squirrel Nut Zippers as the outro music today.
There you go. Sorry, y'all. I started. I started some chaos. So if you can't tell, I am feeling better because I have brought some chaos to the room again.
Yeah. And you're kicking me while I'm down.
I know, it's my fault that you're down. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's move into some news after that history.
Well, first, before we get to real news, let's congratulate our own Nicholas Garten.
Woohoo!
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yay!
Winner of a Wisconsin Newspaper Association First Place Award. Tell us what you were covering.
I was covering the Harmony Apartments, and there were 2 shootings there, and there was an officer, there still is, Victoria Wickersheim, who worked with all the kids over there and did some awesome community outreach that made a big difference for this group of really traumatized kids who were 5 to 9 when not once but twice shooters rolled up into the parking lot and killed people. And these kids saw both incidents that she was working with and would talk about, like, what do we do next time these people come to shoot us all? And I thought it was real powerful. So I'm grateful to have won that award.
And that was fantastic. Congrats to you. And we're looking ahead to Milwaukee Press Club Awards. We'll find out pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm refreshing.
We're all
the page
going to Milwaukee, y'all.
Yeah, in May we'll all go.
Our first photography award. Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that you all submitted for that. It we don't necessarily always remember to include ourselves in that category, but Omar has taken some great photos.
I chose not to edit any photos for an entire year, so they would all be eligible.
Oh, look at you. You're like, look, I'm going to win this.
Yeah.
I feel like I can.
I'm not going to win gold. I know that. I'm not going to get
you
the plaque.
might.
No. I know what will win gold, and it's not me.Maybe bronze or silver, but yeah.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
Yeah, Omar's already an award-winning journalist. Now he's going to be an award-winning photographer, maybe.
Multi-award-winning
photographer. And we hope soon an award-winning photographer. We will let you know next week, probably.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. But now to actual news.
Yep.
I'll mention, first of all, in the second half of the show, Alder Nikki Conklin will join us. She's running for re-election in District 9, so we'll talk to her about her time in council so far and the campaign. But we want to talk a little bit about what's happening on campus. There was a walkout protest in support of Mahmoud Khalil, right? I want to tell us about that.
Hundreds of students at UW-Madison walked out in solidarity with Mahmoud Khalil because it's the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This is one of the prime places where large organizing efforts have taken place.
It's a historic tradition of theirs as well. Like whether they like it or not.
And they keep suppressing that.
Yeah.
Let's figure out why. But the students walked out and they asked the administration the same question that Khalil asked Columbia University about if they will protect students from deportation and doxing, their right to free speech, expression, association, and all the various rights allotted to them in the U.S. Constitution. Naturally, the administration didn't answer because they don't do that. But at the same time, a letter has been going around to 60 universities, which UW-Madison is one of them named, that alleges that it did not fulfill its obligation to protect Jewish students on campus from anti-Semitic harassment and discrimination.
Right. I want to add some context to that. Well, first of all, we should remind folks who Mahmoud Khalil is. He's a Columbia student. He's a permanent legal resident of the United States who's currently being detained. And they're trying to deport him because he led these protests at Columbia.
They tried to say that they're going to take his student visa away, which he did not have.
He does not have a student
visa.
Green
card holding permanent resident, which the arresting folks did not
recognize or realize?
They did not realize that because their initial threat was, we'll take your student visa away. And second was like, oh, what are we supposed to do?
Well, we'll take your green card away too then.
Yeah.
Which you can't
Which is
do.
there's a process for that. violation and such, which is why he has been able to stay within the country, why they weren't able to process and remove him, because there is a process in place if you want to revoke someone's status.
Right.
At the, but they have not followed that process.
No.
And they haven't even charged a crime.
Well, yeah, and there's not a crime yet that have been charged, which makes me concerned that someone's going to create a crime, like a law or something like that, to say that he had broken something and make it retroactive for all student protesters in some kind of way, right?
Well, he was arrested this past weekend, and everyone was in an uproar because no one knew where they took him. The same day as the protest at UW-Madison, that same morning, found out he's been moved from New York to a detention facility in Louisiana. So they can just take you across the country.
Yeah, they can take you through state lines. But right now, a court has said
it's
that...
halted his deportation, at least temporarily.
Yeah. And we will continue to follow that and give updates as we get that.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to give context to is that investigation that UW is supposedly under. Some local news outlets were a little bit misleading on this or didn't quite understand it, and I didn't at first either. When I got this press release, you sent me the
I mean, I knew what it was, and I should have given you context. I was busy.
No, that's right. The press release
it's like 2 a.m.
From the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education, said that 60 institutions got a letter warning of potential punishment, sanctions of some kind if they don't provide a safe environment for Jewish students.
Yep.
And the University of Wisconsin got that based upon a Title VI complaint that was made all the way back in January 2024. So some of the headlines were like, UW is now under investigation. This is not a new investigation.
No.
This is an old investigation that started January 2024. A federal complaint was made by an outside group. By nobody even affiliated with the University of Wisconsin made this complaint. Yep. And it was specifically about a protest that happened in October 2023, where the chant was "Glory to the Martyrs," which went viral because people misunderstood it and they thought it said "Glory to the Murderers."
Yeah.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah. So
that's what the investigation is about, the quote-unquote investigation. Since then, there has been one other Title VI complaint made back in September of last year. I don't know what that's about, though. I can see that there was a complaint made, but they don't make the documentation available online.
Not yet.
Right. So it's possible that there's another complaint being made about antisemitism. It could be something completely unrelated. It's any sort of race or national origin related complaint is Title VI.
Yes. Understand also that the complainant, or from this specific one that is being talked about, the one from 2024, also made several other complaints at other institutions as well, which may also be on that list, and probably is. Yeah. It's probably under that same year.
Yep. So basically the new Department of Education under, what's her name, Linda McMahon, while also...
That's the thing that we said out loud. We said that whole sentence. No notes.
Yes. Former WWE heiress, Linda McMahon, while in the process of dissolving its own department. Yep. So the Department of Education, while dissolving itself, is basically sending letters to these institutions saying, you're under investigation, you have been for some time, and you better be good, or we'll do something. I don't know, just a little bit vague about what they're threatening exactly.
Yeah. What are you going to do? 50% of your workforce is gone,
and likely more to come. Right?
Exactly. How much investigating are you going to be able to do actually if you no longer exist?
And it's potential enforcement of actions.
Potential enforcement actions. Which, obviously, if you're under investigation, there's always a potential for enforcement actions. All this was meant to do, I think it was intentionally meant to give people the impression that there were new investigations.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
which worked.
Yeah, which everybody talked about. And I didn't realize that you all didn't, and I should have done that for you all, but it was like 2 a.m. Like, here's this thing, by the way.
Yeah, they dropped this like middle of the night.
I don't think they didn't drop it. They dropped it like at 8:00 the night before. I didn't see it till like 2 a.m.
Oh, maybe.
But its whole purpose again is shock and awe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, here's this big thing. Look at all these schools and look at all the harm that they are still doing because people are complaining about it. They did not give context to it because they didn't want to give context to it. Right? They wanted you all to think that these higher institutions of education is continuously harming and not, upholding the values and mission and blah, blah, blah that, they should be and are wasting taxpayer money.
There have been a couple of incidents of where Jewish students at the UW campus have
shared
that
they have felt unsafe. Absolutely.
Right. And specific incidents where there have been like arguments and clashes. But as far as I know, no Jewish students or Jewish students groups on campus have complained to the Federal Department of Education about specific anti-Semitism. It's just these outside.
There has not been a complaint that we have access to that has shown. Is what we should say.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It doesn't mean there's no anti-Semitism.
Yep.
But this particular Department of Education trying to come down on UW is completely specious.
Yeah. And it's, again, another way to maybe suggest, and this is why we're cutting everybody. See, we're not just doing this willy-nilly. It's because of, look at these continuous harms kind of thing, without giving context and without doing their due diligence in the current investigation they're supposed to be doing. Because I also wonder, are they saying that we're going to do this, we're sending this letter and we're going to enforce these things in this way because they are losing so much staff that they're not going to be able to continue these investigations. Like, how are they going to, like, if half the staff is gone, you still have this number of investigations plus new ones to continue and start with.
Right.
You've now doubled, maybe tripled, quadrupled someone's workload. How are these going to get done effectively?
Well, how are they ever going to get UW-Madison? We didn't even get the name right on it. They did University of Wisconsin, Madison. It's dash Madison. You're going to go to the wrong place.
You are going to go to the place. That was the other thing I was thinking of, too. I'm like, which one are they talking about?
When the Department of Education can't even punctuate properly.
Rob gets upset. That's when Rob is upset. Punctuation always. So, again, we'll continue to follow this because I'm sure there'll be more things with this. But let's go ahead and move into our next story that we want to talk about, Rob.
It's the arts business competition again, which Omar has been covering. This is at UW campus, Division of Arts, right?
Yes.
It's a pitch contest basically where the 3 finalists who pitch arts-related business ideas, and Omar's been covering this for the past three years, something like that. Yeah. And this year's a little different. This year is a little different.
One notable thing is that it's the first time a music won the Storybook Project, which performs music from storybooks, won first place, which usually the music option never wins. But also, it was the first time in its 16 years running where there was not a person of color that was a finalist. The year before, it's the person in charge, who I'm not sure if he still is, Chris Walker, promised more diversity and more access to people of color in the arts to find an avenue for funding in the arts business competition. But looks like the opposite happened.
Interesting. Do we know if it's all white finalists? Do we know how many people of color actually entered?
I have asked, but I have not heard a response yet, and I hope to get that soon. So we will work on that story, and we will give you more details as it goes.
All right. All right. Thanks for that, Omar. And one more thing I want to talk about before the break. We'll stay in the arts and entertainment field. Matthew Teague.
Yes.
One of my favorite people is a local magician who there's not a whole lot of people who make their living doing magic.
Yeah.
And even fewer black people who make their living doing magic. He has a terrific story. He grew up in New Mexico. A lot of violence and stuff in his childhood, and he kind of learned magic as a means of sort of escape and made a living at it, and lived in Verona for a couple of years. As a kid, his mom couldn't handle winter, so they went back to Mexico.
I mean, I can't handle winter either.
Who can blame her?
Yeah.
But he's been back up in Madison for quite a while now, and doing magic. He performs basically every week at Ho Chunk in Black River Falls at the casino up there. And he does close-up magic, meaning he's not on the stage doing the big giant tricks. He's like, we walk up to you and just like in a conversation with 2 or 3 people, and which is the way he describes it is like there's nothing, you can't hide anything. It has to look real. And he actually ended up on the Penn and Teller, this national show called Fool Us. And that got him booked with this company called Magic Corp. So he's doing these massive corporate gigs all over the place. And he has now self-produced his own show that is gonna be in Verona on April 5th. It's the first time he's gonna do it. Only 50 tickets available. Most of them already sold. But
oh wow!
But if you can
snag one,
if you can snag 1 or 2, do so, because it's kind of a hybrid of he's gonna do some sort of on stage, but a lot of close up. It's gonna be an intimate thing. He's gonna kind of tell some of his. He's also like a rapper, and that's how he kind of came up. But so he's gonna have some of his own music and some of his own spoken word and telling his story, kind of along with doing the magic. And I'm very excited about it. And he may take it on the road at some point. But that story is up at Madison365.org, along with some blow your mind kind of video.
Did you say Magic Corp?
Magic Corp.
Magic Corp.
Yeah.
The League of Wizards.
Oh, no.
Yes, that's what it is. It's the League of Wizards who books him at the IBM sales conference.
IBM sales conference.
But when I talked to him, he was jet lagged because he just got back from Boston doing a big corporate gig. So he's traveling all over the place doing this for big audiences, and we just have him right here in the backyard. And I ran into him at Target a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? So anyway, it's pretty exciting for him, and I think it'd be a very cool show to try to get to.
Absolutely. Do you know any close-up magic tricks?
No.
I learned how to do the make the card appear.
Oh.
And how to steal people's watches.
Oh.
I'm not sure that's so much magic trick as just a crime.
Hey.
Well, how they present doing
first
it.
First of all, learning how to do that.
It's magical.
It's also magical. I was like,
Thank you.
I've also taught my child how to steal wallets. Ask Rob. Yeah. And she doesn't stop. No, she still randomly will.
Amount of pickpocketing.
Yeah.
Watches though.
Watches.
You have to.
No watches. I can do.
Completely fool them. Get their senses.
It's
really hard.
It is really hard. I'm gonna stop telling stories. I just realized what I'm saying. Yeah. It is really hard. It's also why I didn't start wearing watches until much older, because I knew how people did it. And then so like when people started to shake my hand, I was like, nope, you're not gonna try to.
It's my favorite drunk party trick.
Oh, is it really? I can see that. Like you're like, why not?
You're just like, yeah, you got your watch.
Yo, we do not condone any of this stuff. Some of us grew up different. That's all.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Nikki Conklin will join us. And joining us now, the Alder representing District 9 on this Madison's West Side, Nikki Conklin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Yourself?
Doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and talk about the Common Council and the race and the campaign and all that. First of all, let's kind of recap a little bit. You're running for your 3rd term, which means you've been on the council for 4 years now. And we should note this is for a full 2-year term.
Correct.
Which is not the case for even number districts, as we've talked about in the past. Even number districts are only up for a 1-year term because we're going to stagger the terms now.
That is correct.
Going
you
forward.
Got it right. Mm-hmm.
So the stakes are higher in District 9. That's not really true, but it sounds cool. But anyway, you've been on council for 4 years. What have in that time? What are you particularly proud of? Anything that you've accomplished for your district or for the city that you kind of hang your hat on?
Yes, absolutely. There's a couple of them. Most recently, just on Tuesday, we were able to get the Sauk Creek Corridor Plan passed, which has been very big in my district alone. So, ever since I came on council 4 years ago, that was the major hot topic of my district. And I'm proud to say that for the last 4 years, but most recently, the last 18 months, we have engaged District 9 residents about their thoughts, ideas, and concerns about the Greenway. I mean, we have had 6 public information meetings. We had 3 open houses. We sent out 29,000 postcards. We showed up at different places to get surveys directly in person. So I have spent a lot of time, energy, engagement, collaboration, compromise, and I'm just so proud that we finally now have this high level conceptual plan of what we envision the Sauk Creek Greenway to look like in 10 years from now. So that's one thing I'm so proud of. The second thing is that I have been a supporter of the CARES team, the Community Alternative Response Emergency Services, which is now in their 4th expansion in the 4 years that they have been born, since they've been conceived, I will say, since 2021. They expanded 3 times, and now they have expanded out to the city of Sun Prairie. So I am so glad to be supporting violence prevention in that way, to be supporting the correct professionals going to the correct job.
That which that team is sort of an alternative to police. If somebody calls 911 and it's maybe somebody in a mental health crisis, for example, it used to be that police would go to everything, and now you
Correct.
got this other team that can be dispatched without any like guns or anything.
Exactly. To
So the police mindset, uh,
right. To
and
care for the individual. So in the 4
mhm.
years, the CARES team has actually went on 7,787 calls in 4 years.
Wow.
So they're needed. It's necessary. My big push is to see them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because
Mm-hmm.
we never know when mental health is going to happen. Right now, they're just like at peak times, high times, but we need weekend service, late night service. And I really want to see CARES, and I will support things with CARES, anything that has to do with CARES, because it's necessary. It's important. We know the police cannot go to every call, and we need to have the correct people going to the correct job.
And can we go back one also and tell us, it's kind of describe to us for people who haven't been paying attention this closely, where did that Sauk Creek plan land? What is Sauk Creek going to look like in 10 years?
Well, I mean, it's still very high level.
Hmm.
We don't know for sure. What we know is that we're going to clean it up. There's going to be a maintenance access path. We know that the north-south bike path was taken out by myself. I was able to accomplish that. I listened to my neighbors. They did not want the bike path, a concrete paved path in the Saw Creek Greenway. So that is taken out. There is going to be, we're going to stabilize the banks. That's number one. And people did vote to use riprap. In some areas, we know that there's going to be a gravel path for access maintenance, which will be like have topsoil. But again, there's still so much. This is just the high level plan. So
Yeah.
there's still more community engagement. There's still time to hear from residents of District 9 and from the city of Madison, because this is for everybody to enjoy, not just the residents of District 9 or the people who are closest. So there's still more time. There's still more developing to do. There's still more plan making, but those are the major keys that we know that there's going to be access maintenance path. There is no paved bike path. And we want to hear more from the community of how we're going to shape this.
If I can pontificate slightly, this is why we always say local elections are really important. Everybody vote in your local election, because as splashy as the headlines are at the federal level, especially now, and it feels like very consequential stuff happening at the federal level, which is 100% true. You've spent 18 months and longer than that grappling over what to do with this piece of natural resource, right? This piece of land that is right next to you and right
Yeah.
next to the people who live, and it's important, and you take the time and the effort to do it, because it is not just a snap decision that's going to affect us tomorrow. You talk about the next 10, 15, 20 years. So and these are the sort of maybe less sexy things, right? This is not headline news, but we're talking about it here because it's important.
It's very
And
important.
these elections and who represents you on the city council in many ways has more to do with your daily life than who's president, honestly.
Yes.
So anyway, there's off my soapbox.
Thank
So
you.
the lesson is go vote April 1st. Whoever you vote
Please.
for, go vote. So
Absolutely.
other than those couple of things, the CARES team, the Greenway, the Sauk Creek Greenway plan, as you're running for reelection, knocking on doors, talking to people, what are the top issues people are concerned about, and what do you think about for your next term?
Safety. I mean, safety is always going to be at the top of the list. That's the number one priority, whether that's, obviously public safety, speeders is always going to be an issue. Safety, as in securing housing, having secure homes for everybody, having our basic needs met,
Mm-hmm.
food security. And then the environment obviously is a top concern of mine too. And I just want to dispel or debunk any false information that may be out there that with this Sauk Creek Greenway project that I didn't care about the environment and I don't care about tree canopy and I'm killing 5,000 trees, which is never the case. There's 5,000 trees dead back there in the Greenway already. So we need to clean that up so we do not kill the healthy trees that are still back there trying to survive. So everything is a balancing act. We have to balance the needs of our city, the needs of our district, our own morals and values, and what is best. Like some things that are the city's goal to get us to 100% energy efficiency. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to take down a tree in order to put in solar panel light. So there's just it's a lot of push and pull, but I'm thankful because anything that we do cut down, and I learned this through my work of being the alder, is that Madison actually has a plan and they plant over 100 trees every year, regardless of how many that we take out or with different projects. So sometimes things hurt our environment, but it's only to get it to a better place so we can all enjoy the environment.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What I want to spin back a few years, and what prompted you to want to even run for office in the first place?
Woo. Well,
Got another question?
no, we can go with it. I mean, really, my community called upon me. They
Okay.
supported and encouraged me because my predecessor was being accused of unethical things, and you know what I'm saying, and he had 20 years in the seat, and it was time for a change. We needed fresh new ideas, and I brought that energy. I brought representation. Being a Black woman, raising my 3 children in low income housing, I have the lived experiences firsthand of what District 9 needed, and we need representation. That's what mattered most. So I think those are the things that I really ran on, and then just having the support of my community. I have been doing the work for a long time already. I was deeply rooted in my neighborhood. I was community leader, organizer, activist. I always, especially for the children, I always stood up for what was right. I was that person. If you see something, you say something. And I really know that it takes a village to raise these children. We cannot do it on our own. And so if I can be that positive role model for people, that's what I wanted to do. And being the alder is really just serving my community, being that role model in a different aspect.
I want to ask about an apartment complex, the Tree Lane family apartments that were in the news for a while ago, and you engaged there. There was some violence and some other issues there. What's the status of that, and how did we get? Why isn't it in the news anymore?
Sure. All right. Well, great question. Thank you so much. Tree Lane Family Apartments was the housing first model where people were coming out of homelessness. We had 45 families there that we put in at one time before I got into office. But the city had put all the 45 families in there. There wasn't enough resources to help everybody. And currently what happened is the property owners, they were out of Chicago. They went bankrupt, or they just couldn't afford it anymore. They ran it down, so they sold it or whatever happened. There was an interim period, and now what we did is we now hired Sanair, who is the new property owners. Lutheran Social Services is still the service provider there. And so they just came in, we relocated all the people. They moved out willingly. We helped people move out and find new housing, whether that was in Dane County, Wisconsin, or other states. And then Sanair came in, and now they have turned it into a mixed use building. So there's only 11 apartments that are low income or less than 30% income. Then then they split up the other 33 apartments. So it's every different level, 50, 60, and 80% market rate, if I'm not mistaken on that. But it is definitely mixed use. We lowered the numbers so Lutheran Social Services can still be able to provide those services for the people that are there that need it. And it has been 1,000% turnaround. The people, Sanair, the property owners, are involved, they're active, they're engaged. I've had many conversations with them, and I think we're really looking at the up and up now, and I think it should continue to soar and be successful. And probably, hopefully, the plan is to have less and less needed services there. So things have quieted down and cleaned up, and I'm thankful and blessed that this property is now doing what it's supposed to for our community and really providing that stable housing that people need.
Is there any lessons to take away from that whole experience? Anything you learned in terms of policy going forward, affordable housing first policy, that you'll take forward into future debates, future votes, future projects?
Absolutely. I think the city has learned more than I did. They know what not to do. I think really just local is always best. From our standpoint, I think we have to support more local businesses, but again, there's not that many that are in this position to build and do that. So things that I have learned from this, number one is obviously we have to be engaged, regardless that there was things happening, and it's like the city wasn't the owner of the property, even though that we set this whole building up. So it was things like that. So engagement, number one. Having the resources and funding, number two. We cannot put people into a building that are supposed to serve people that don't have the service providers available, if that makes sense. So the funding, we have to be able to put the money into it. I mean, Milwaukee has a lot of housing first projects, and they're spending millions of dollars on those projects. And I think Madison opened up Tree Lane with like $150,000. So that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then two, just really informing the community, letting them know what's going on so they can feel a sense of connectedness, and not just be like pointing the fingers like, oh, those are the bad people, those are the bad. No, like it's not them, it's the other things going on around them. So again, just the importance of having people's basic needs met. When they have secure housing, they have food, transportation, then they're able to get employment and education and things like that. So it's great ideas. I love the idea, but we have to mix it up. We need more mixed use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. I want to ask a little bit about the time of the council and how the council operates itself. There's been some pretty contentious moments on the council recently. Some people have kind of laid that at the mayor and how she runs meetings and stuff like that. Is that okay? I mean, is it maybe healthy that we're mixing it up a little bit and not worrying so much about decorum, or do you think there is an issue in terms of just conduct within city council meetings?
Let me say, I don't think that the mayor is being unfair, unjust. I think she runs a very stern ship, and I think she keeps it even keel. I think she is fair and equitable to everybody. I believe she treats people the same. I don't feel she has any favoritism. I think people obviously are going to align with certain people when you have the same goals or initiatives in line. So we know that there's a housing crisis. We know that we need housing. So if we're supporting housing, and that means we're supporting the mayor, well, the mayor supports housing too. The mayor supports transportation too. Don't we want our leader to be leading us in the right direction and pushing for us to bring more housing, more transportation, more public safety to the city of Madison where we all live? So I believe that she is pushing the agendas that are necessary for the city of Madison. I don't think she has any hidden agendas, or she's not being transparent. Yeah, I think she's doing her job, and it's a hard job. And I think we need to give people grace and respect her and the job that she's doing, because she's not running one district. She's running 20 districts, 270,000 people. And she can't do that alone. That's impossible. Just like none of us alders can do this job alone. This takes teamwork, collaboration, patience, understanding, and respect.
Is that collaboration and patience and respect put to the test when things kind of devolve in a city council meeting? And what's to be done about that? Anything?
I think a recess. Everyone needs to take a break and relax, and we need to understand that this is not personal. This is not personal. We are doing the work of the city, and this is a thankless job. And I think that I think if we need to just stop and take a break. Number one, like, let's cool down, let's get focused, because I think people are taking things too personal, and it's not. Nobody should be personally attacking anybody. We're here to do the work for the city.
Very good. Nikki, again, thank you for the time. Alder Conklin, anything else you want to mention?
Yes, please. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Again, Nikki Conklin. Please visit my website at nikki.vote. That's nikki.vote. Please vote for Nikki Conklin on April 1st for District 9.
Very good. Thank you so much again, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Rob.
When I was a lad, I was a little bit shy. Something came along, caught my eye. When I heard the jazz band strike up, swear I had my mind made up. Now I'm getting older, and everything is in full swing. Now I'm getting bolder. Boy, got to do that thing.
And thanks again to Alder Nikki Conklin for joining us. We have extended an invitation to Joanne Pritchard to speak with us, and we just haven't heard back yet. And when we do, we will have her on the show as well. Again, the election date is Tuesday, April 1st. And now we'll go to our roundtable question.
So for this week, in honor of, or in some deep rage of daylight savings, which I did not realize was happening.
I never do.
I didn't know. Have you ever seen the episode of the show called Community? It's an old, right? Of when they do an Abed, like daylight savings, and Abed is screaming as it's like, because it makes no sense. Like he can't. That's how I feel about it every time. I'm internally screaming. It doesn't make sense.
Phoenix did not.
I know Phoenix didn't. But
Arizona doesn't do it.
Yeah.
No, Arizona. But
well,
also
some small parts of it for some reason, which is even weirder because it's not like
again
drifting
Phoenix
into other states that does.
Maybe be like
Phoenix is an
standard
God
given
and all.
It should not be. They also don't acknowledge Martin Luther King Day, so like you can't. I'm gonna remind you all. My uncle lives in Phoenix, and he came to me like he was trying to do this argument about how great Phoenix and much better it is in the world, and I was like 14, and I was like, sir, you all don't even acknowledge Martin Luther King Day. You're done. And then when everyone realized that, they're like, you gotta go. Get out.
The sky is a little bit bluer.
I'm just gonna tell you, that is not the standard for which I want to live my life, is Phoenix. I'm not gonna model myself. And I love the desert.
And it turns out, to celebrate Martin Luther King Day, you have to have daylight savings time.
Apparently they're tied together. Hey, I'm gonna do whatever correlation I need to do to make that argument about Phoenix.
So in response to our rage over that,
I mean, and there was rage because it was dark when I woke up on the Sunday morning, and then Monday was even harder. What are we looking forward to? Rather than looking back, because
we're springing forward. What are we looking forward to in spring?
I don't care. Whatever you're looking forward to. Let's put some positivity and joy in the space a little bit, and because some people need it. Some people need some. All
right, we're being optimistic today, guys. What do you think?
Seasonal depression now swapped out for regular depression. I am excited.
I am trying. And again, if you do suffer from depression, please feel free to reach out to the necessary resources, mental health resources, however you need. And hopefully with the coming of spring, the ability to enjoy the sun and be outside.
I cannot enjoy the sun and be outside. I can enjoy the sun, but be outside because this is when all my allergies start coming back.
And this is what you get for telling jokes. Allergies are here.
I think it's a fair trade. I get to say whatever I want with
care and concern.
Jester's privilege, and I don't get to breathe for like 8 months.
And this is why he's so upset at everybody.
Yes.
He can't breathe for 8 months and then can't see light, for 3. So there's 1 month where everything's perfect.
I was not destined for this world.
You were not made for this.
I should have been born when climate change has taken all the plants away, or during the Ice Age. It's one of the two, and unfortunately, thriving national parks.
All right, Nick, what are you looking forward to?
Well, it's March Madness time.
Yeah, okay.
March Madness. Wisconsin's got a shot at the Elite Eight.
Do they? I hope so.
Yeah, because it's 2025, and every 10 years they either go to the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
Every 15 years, it feels like.
No, 2015, 2005. This is a real thing.
This is a real thing.
2000?
Yes.
2000 was Final Four. 2005 was what, Elite Eight?
What happened in 2010?
We skipped 2010. And I don't know. I don't remember what happened to 2010.
I don't remember what happened in 2010, but
I just remember.
Here's
2015, they were in the final.
2010.
Right?
I'm only saying 2010. I will acknowledge our child turned 15 during, but was also born during March Madness.
Not quite March Madness.
I don't know what he was born during.
He was born during the Big Ten tournament.
Oh, Big Ten tournament.
That counts.
Yeah, and that's when he was, and that's when Rob.
And that's what I was watching in the birthing suite.
Mm-hmm. And it was a suite, I will say that. While I was going through labor.
You're like, did you see that?
And also with his milkshake.
My mom brought me a milkshake.
Yeah, because it was hard for him to watch me.
Are we reminiscing about this for him?
Very hard for men.
It just reminded me, I was like, oh, March, when you said 20, every 15 years, I was like, oh, our kid is 15. Wait a minute. That's right. Mm-hmm. You were watching basketball. To be fair, though, to Rob, I was like, he was trying to help me breathe in one moment, and it was pissing me off because I was breathing just fine and managing things just fine. And I was like, you know what? Go watch the basketball. Go sit over there. Because I got it. And I did. I had it. Yeah. Good memories, Rob. Yep. But also, I don't remember, did they do well? That's why I was asking, did they at least do well?
And I don't remember, honestly. I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. Not even the tournament they did well.
The Big Ten tournament is this weekend, right?
Yep, today.
Yeah.
Today, Wisconsin plays.
Today being Thursday.
Yes.
The day before you're hearing this. Yesterday, from the listener's perspective,
Correct.
Wisconsin won or lost. We're not sure.
What are you looking forward to, Rob?
I went on a little hike down by Stewart Lake near Mount Horeb the other day. It's almost all open now. And I almost ran home to get my kayak. Thought, it's a little bit early for that. I'm very much looking forward to getting on the water.
I would like you not to get a kayak until you are through this cold.
Well, okay, fine.
Because with your luck, you'll have a cold, you'll fall into the water, it'll be turned into pneumonia.
I'm very much looking forward to being outdoors and getting fishing and getting back on the water. The other thing I'm very much looking forward to, Madison takes the field tomorrow night in Naples, Florida.
Oh, we're not going to Florida.
No, we're not going to Florida. But we will be watching the game on television. I'll let you know. I'm claiming the living room TV for that. It's Fortnite. So that's very exciting. And our first home game will be next Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that your also way of telling me that you're going to be there? That's how you're
I'm letting you know
me?
what my plans are.
Also, now everyone else knows.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to ask, or they're going to make sure that he did get the chance to get the TV.
He will get the TV. Like, I don't care about the living room TV.
That's a chess move.
I already got my stuff.
Yep.
And quite frankly, I always get to veto.
Yeah, you have an iPad. Go over there.
Yeah. You'll be fine. And also, but thanks for letting me know that you're going to be gone on Thursday night. Maybe see if a child would like to go with you, because they do like.
Right. Yeah.
UW-Madison is my only thing.
Uh-huh. What are you looking forward to, Steph?
I will say every once in a while I get into a space and headspace of where I read like 1,000 books in 3 months, and I'm in that space right now, as Rob knows, because I'm like, give me your library card, because all my holds are done with mine. I need yours, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just excited to read. I feel like I don't know, every time it moves into spring, I feel like I have more energy for those things, with everything going on in the world and everything that is required. And as people have been asking, what can they do, what they should do to help themselves or keep their minds off things. I'm like, reading is a good one. And I was like, I should probably maybe practice that myself besides just giving that out as advice and stuff like that. So I started to do that this week, and it's been great. I love reading. I read really fast. It drives Rob crazy. And then he tries to quiz me, and then I always win because, I can still retain and read that fast. So I go through books like crazy. So if anybody has recommendations they'd like to share, by all means, feel free to, because I love recommendations.
Serge Tankian's memoir, the guy from System of a Down, very good book.
I heard who else has a really good book? The basis from that I have to read too. Apparently, it's a really good biography too. But I've heard of that one too, and I want to read it. Okay.
I like that one because he does try to make himself not seem like the villain for why the band broke apart.
Be the villain.
It's like, creative differences and, spiritually. And it's like, you're kind of the jerk in all these circumstances. But he doesn't realize it.
Oh, he doesn't.
Which is even good. No, he still thinks he was in the right all the time.
I love autobiographies of folks like that. I think it's great. I want to read the Cher one. I heard that one's good. I think I love that stuff. It's easy. It's fun. And also someone not realizing they're a villain.
The whole time.
I love it.
It's great.
That's amazing. Now I want to read it. All right, y'all. We will be back next week.
365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.